Hello. Welcome to Tech Talk Live. Just going to go ahead and mute out some of my tracks in here. In the pattern mode, that's what we're talking about today. Talking about the pattern sequencer. So the pattern sequencer was added to MONTAGE OS 3.0 and MODX version 2.0. It is an extension of the performance recorder being the MIDI recorder and the audio recorder like we talked about last week, and we just sort of touched on this new pattern recorder, but we're going to kind of just talk about the basics of the pattern recorder today, and I'm just going to show some basic overview on the main screen here. I'll record with arpeggio to show you how cool that is and how that works, and then I'll show you kind of how to record track by track without actually stopping recording, which is pretty cool as well. So first of all, what you just heard here is just a little, pattern that I created here. What is the pattern sequencer? Well, first of all, we'll start with the this name of this multi. I called it Tech Talk Multi, right? And as you go down the play record area right here, I touch down touch play record. You have your MIDI recorder, which we showed last week. Your audio recorder when you record to something like a USB stick. And then here's the new pattern tab that was added with OS 3.0, OS 2.0 for your MODX users. So the overview here, as you can see, you see all the tracks you have playing in here. I'm on section or scene 2, and I want to talk a little bit about how the pattern mode works. You basically have this recorder that has up to 8 scenes. And what is a scene? A scene is basically just a section, like an intro, like a chorus, a verse, something like that. So I had in this one, I had sort of this basic scene 1. So you hear that part playing here. Now I'll touch on scene 2. So that's kind of the second scene. That's the same basic groove, but just adds on to that. So that's what scenes are inside the pattern. Now let's talk a little bit about the difference between what a scene is as a performance scene and a scene in the pattern mode, because it uses a similar thing in a scene. When I'm selecting things and changing things like mutes and stuff, you can go like this, and I'll save it to a scene. So I've muted out some stuff, and I'll touch scene number 3 here. Shift scene. One more time. Shift scene. So you notice that I just saved a scene. So that's a scene at the performance level, but it does sort of double duty when you're in the in the pattern area. A scene also works as a section in here, and a section in here can be up to 16 different tracks. Right here, I have 8. If I go to my part control, I have another parts 9 through 16 here that I can add other parts in here as well. But this one right here is just using those first. I'm going to switch my. Speaking of which, so you can see the whole thing here. So each of these can be different grooves in here, basically. That's what the scene at the pattern level is. So you see this playing in here. You select stuff in here. Now let's say if I'm in and I select something like, I want to mute out some stuff in here, and I hold Shift and touch 2. Now I just saved the mutes, and any of the things that I can save to the scene, they can also be saved and recalled quickly here on the pattern thing. But that's what, so scenes basically do 2 things. In the pattern mode, or in the performance mode at the very top of the scene, you have mutes, things like arpeggio on and off, stuff like that are saved at that performance level. But when you go to the pattern level, each of those scenes is a section that you can control as well. So it could be chorus, verse, and so on. So I'll go, that's basically on scenes. Now you see here it says length. You can have a length of each of the parts. I could record something that's 1 measure long, or up to 4 measures long, or up to actually 256 measures long. So the length of each of these scenes can go from 1 up to 256 measures. This one right here is 16 measures, so that's length in here. I'm going to talk about key on start in a second when I show you how to do some arpeggio recording as well. Tempo, click track right here. So I touch on the click. I can set my tempo here. I can tap in whatever tempo I want to go in here. Go back to my main pattern area here. So basically that's the overview here. Tempo, time signature, and so on. I'll show you some cool things here. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to grab a different performance here. This one actually comes from the FM experience from Easy Sounds. This is all FM that I'm going to use here. I just love this particular sound here, or this particular performance here. And I want to record this because this is an arpeggio generated one here. It's kind of like a, let's see here. So I love this one because it has all of these arps. Now the cool thing about the pattern mode is that it's very, very easy to record all of your arpeggios simultaneously really quick, and it does it perfectly every time, which is pretty slick. If I touch record here, now you notice that it opened up a blank, I'm on scene 5 here, and it just automatically creates a new pattern scene here when I hit record. It won't record over anything because I started from the pattern mode. As soon as I hit record, it automatically will create a new one, so you don't have to overwrite anything here. And I'm going to show basically the way to do this. It's really important to set it up so that you can record these arpeggios quickly and easily. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to touch where I have record on here, and I'm going to turn on key on start, and I'm going to touch on loop here and turn that off. And the reason why I want to do that is because if this is going to be just 4 measures I'm going to record here, and I'm going to record everything simultaneously. How am I going to record everything simultaneously? Well, if you look in the screen there, you'll notice that keyboard control is on. So anything that has keyboard control on, everything will be recorded simultaneously. If I were to turn off keyboard control on any of these other parts in here, it would not record those parts. So if I like turned off parts 5, 6, and 7 just like this, it's not going to record anything that doesn't have keyboard control on. If I turn them on, it's going to record everything simultaneously. So I'm going to record all 8 parts simultaneously. Now I also set the key on start here to on, so as soon as I hit record, it's going to record. But the other thing that's really important in this is turning off that loop. The reason why is because if I bring it around, it'll re-record over the top of it, and I don't want to do that. I just want to stop, and every time it's going to do this correctly. So check this out. I'm just going to record my little groove here, and I'm ready to go. I have key on start ready. I have record set, and I just go. And it'll stop. Now when I hit play, boom, check it out. Perfectly every time. Pretty cool. Really easy to do that. And the thing I love about this too is because it wrote out, it actually recorded each of those things. I can now maybe take this, convert it to a song, drop it into Montage Connect, bring it into Cubase, bring it into something like that, and I can, do some extra production there. But really, really easy to just simply record multiple tracks simultaneously with the arpeggiator when you do this. You notice also that if you look in the screen here, there's a little square that's right above each of the names here. And I'll go over here to scene 6 here. Now you notice that none of those squares are there anymore. That's because this is just an empty blank performance here. If I go back to 5 here, scene 5, you notice that square comes back. So that says I've recorded data in here, and when I hit play, boom. Now if I wanted to add extra tracks to this, it'd be just a matter of me going into maybe another part here, selecting an extra part here, here I could have something like this this single part here, piano, that has some delay on it. You turn off key on start. So if I turn off, I'm going to turn off the... So if I want to record to this track, I have this part selected directly, not all the parts here, and I can hit record on this one, and maybe start this one out. So adding parts after you've recorded that, super easy to do with this new pattern sequencer. Super, super easy. So that's just a quick way to do a multiple arpeggiator, multiple part performance here using the pattern mode in this instrument here. Okay, now I'm going to select one that I've already created here. This one just called Tech Talk Multi 2. Now on this one, what I have here is 4 parts, and I turned off the keyboard control to show you kind of how I'm going to record multiple parts, one after the other, and just keep adding parts. It's pretty cool how this works. So I have in here drum kit here. I'll select the other part. You know, electric piano sound, bass part, and then guitar part. So I'm going to record 3 of these parts super quickly here. So with this guy, again, if you hit record, it's going to take me to new pattern 8. Remember, it was new pattern 7 before. Because I hit record from this part, it goes to the next pattern for me to record. It makes it super, super easy to do this. Now, I want to show you something else here. I'm going to use record quantize. Now, the next live stream that we're going to do in the next few weeks, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into quantizing. But for this one, I just want to show just this basic one right here. This is input quantize. So I have this set to 16th note. I'm going to select my drum part first. With this one, I do want the loop on, and I don't want key on start right now. But I'll show you something cool here. So I dropped into record here, and we're recording 4 measures. Now check this out. Record rehearse is what happens when you touch while you're in record. Touch the record button again, and it blinks. See it blinking right there? Okay, that means we're in record rehearse. I'm not recording anything, but I can move things around, find out where my kick drums are, find out where my kick drums and my snare drums and my hi-hats and whatever I have here. So I can try some stuff out. Okay, so now I have basically the sounds I want to use here in this drum kit. So as soon as I drop into this, 2, 3, 4. So now I have a little drum groove going here. Now you see what I just did? I just hit the record rehearse button again. So now I pulled out a record, right? I'll bring this down a little bit so you can hear me a little bit more. Now I want to select the bass part. See, I'm still in record rehearse mode, but I've selected this other part here. Okay, let's get some. Okay, now I'll drop into. Cool. Now you notice I'm fixing my time every time because I set it to record quantize. Makes it easy to make this sound pretty cool pretty quickly. Okay, so check it out. Now I'm going to select the piano part here, the electric piano part here. Now set this to reset the octave. Okay, I think I got something here. So I dropped it. Now I'm ready to record. Here, coming around, coming around, coming around, coming around. Now I have a little groove happening. Now check this out. So I hit stop at this point. There's my little funky little fusion-y thing I recorded. Now check this out. One thing I really dig about this, the pattern mode, is I have this 4-measure groove here. Well, now what I want to do is I'm going to increase the length from 4 measures up to 16 measures, and I'm going to select this guitar sound that I want to record a solo part over the top that's 16 measures long. But what about the other 3 tracks that are set for 4 measures? What's going to happen to those? Well, they're just going to keep recording 4 measures over and over while I record this extra guitar part for 16 measures. So this is pretty cool how this works. Check it out. So I'm going to drop into record. Now this time I'm going to take out the recording quantize, so we're not going to record quantize anymore. I have it set for replace record. I'm ready to go. I'm going to counter off on this one. So. Caught that little bit of, but check it out. See, 16 measures. So the other parts that I recorded in here, 1, 2, and 3, 4 measures, loops, right? The next one, 16 measures, that goes 16 measures. So now, caught that little bit of a, so the 4 measures, right? See, now we're still going 5, 6 on the guitar. But you're still just 4 measures on the other guys. So you can, if I wanted to add another part here, like here, and maybe select CFX stage or whatever, and I set this to the length of 256 measures if I wanted to, you know, I could record a 256 long piano part with a 16 guitar and 4 measures. So you can do these cool nested loops in here. It's pretty slick how this works. So that's kind of basic beginning for the pattern recording sequencer that's been added here with OS 3.0. So that's basic. Next week we're going to talk a little bit more about the edit jobs in here, and we'll talk about that next week. Get into this a little bit deeper and show you some of the other cool things. So that's basically it. But now I'm going to, first of all, I want to answer some questions that came in through our Qualtrics questions here, and I just want to answer a few of these that I got here. One of them is, will you reproduce any of the Yamaha Motif workstation synthesizers? You know, we're probably not going to go back and redo the Motif again, but what we did with this, with the montage, that you basically have all of the sounds that were in the Motif XS and XF essentially. So they're already in here. All the parts, single part performances, those are voices, and then all of the performances from the Motif are already in Montage, so that's already there. I think what you're wondering is, how about the sequencer? Well, you've noticed that we really did listen to people. When we released Montage, we didn't have the pattern sequencer, and a lot of people were a little disappointed, so our engineers added the pattern sequencer. And, you know, I always like to say this. Remember, we've done, I guess we're up to 6 or 7 of these updates for Montage, and MODX is about, I think we've had 2 or 3 of updates. Remember, this is a platform-based synthesizer. It will have OS updates still with this instrument. You'll see what will happen maybe. But we're not going to release the Motif again, but trust me, this instrument really has a lot more capabilities. So just stay tuned. It's pretty cool. Let's see what else we got here. Hi, is it possible to make any user presets for insert effects? I think you're talking about a preset for the effect itself. If you want to use, you really can't do that. You can't really create a preset insert effect. What I do, though, is if I find something I really like, for example, on this guitar sound. So that's basically, I'll show you this, what I've done with this one here. Let's see here. Guitar, edit. So I've used this one quite a bit. And what I do is I create this guitar sound, and I use this this insertion effect, and I just create a version of the effects in here, and I just save it as a single performance, a single part performance, and I just recreate it again in a different performance, because I use these same effects, but you can't really go in and change any of the presets in here. But what you can do is just create it as close to how you want it to, and just save it as a performance, and then just bring it into another performance when you need it. That's really the way to do it. So just kind of create a template, like a performance template. That works pretty well for me. Unfortunately, you can't create your own effects, but again, that's a cool thing to request. That's why you should join the Idea Scale Yamaha Synth at the end of our my little live set here, or my live stream. I'll talk about that at the end here, to join that forum and request that. That's a very cool thing. Let's see here. I have MODX 8. I want to play piano. This one, okay, I'll just read this out. I have MODX 8, and I want to play the piano, but because of the velocity curve, some of the notes can't be heard. So I tried to changing the curves. Okay. So at the very first live stream that we did, I showed how to do this a little bit more on a piano. Go back and take a look at the very first one. I actually show you how you can go to the element level and adjust the velocity curve at the element level. Check that out next time, and see if that helps to get it so you can kind of adjust the velocity curve. There's a lot to do with that, as far as fixing it in the curve in the utility mode. But I showed kind of how to get into the element level, and go back and check out the very first one that we did, and see if that helps. And that will help, definitely. Just tweaking it and changing the velocity curve. Let me show you a few things before I go away. I want to because it is a little weird here. I'm going to show you my face directly